perfect song for this. This morning we are celebrating two pioneers in journalism that you might not have heard of. The White House Correspondents Association is honoring Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne with the creation of a Lifetime Achievement Award in their names. They were the first black women to be members of the White House Press Corps back in the day. Dunnigan died back in 1983, Payne in 1991. Tomorrow night, their families will accept the inaugural Dunnigan Payne Prize for Lifetime Career Achievement at a dinner in Washington, D.C. We're all going. We spoke with family members about these remarkable women. In the middle of the 20th century, America was a segregated nation. Schools and transportation in the South were separated based on race, and so was the nation's press. Alice Dunnigan, the Kentucky-born granddaughter of slaves, was determined to fulfill her dream of becoming a journalist.
I am Alicia Dunnigan, and Alice Dunnigan was my grandmother.
By the time she reached her 30s, Dunnigan had a regular column for a local paper, but she wanted more.
She said the two strikes out against her was that she was black and that she was female.
She landed a job in Washington, D.C., writing for the Associated Negro Press, a wire service for black-owned papers. In 1947, Alice Dunnigan became the first female black reporter credentialed to cover the White House.
I am James Johnson, Jr., and Ethel Lois Payne was my aunt.
This is Ethel Payne. For Ethel Payne, the path to journalism began when she was denied admission to law school because of the color of her skin.
You couldn't control your opportunities, so you had to be prepared for whatever opportunity came along. Writing for her was a natural, something she liked to do.
In 1951, Payne was hired as a Washington reporter for the Chicago Defender, one of the country's leading black newspapers at the time.
I don't give a hoot whether you're Democrat or Republican in this kind of a job.
Dunnigan and Payne regularly attended President Dwight Eisenhower's news conferences.
Integration in schools on military posts may be delayed until 1955.
In 1954, just 2 months after the Brown versus Board of Education ruling, Ethel Payne demanded to know whether Eisenhower would support a ban on segregation in interstate travel. Ike did not like that question.
I'd like to know if we could assume that we have administration support in getting action on this.
Well, I don't know what right you say that you have to have administration support. The administration is trying to do what it thinks to be believed decent and just in this country.
The moment sparked headlines of its own.
White House Press Secretary Ron Ziegler stated frankly that he was ousted.
Ethel Payne later went on to become the first black female commentator at CBS News.
Blacks aren't any different from other groups of voters.
Payne and Dunnigan were as dedicated to family as they were to their work.
My aunt was a very good cook. I can't think of one thing because everything she touched was good.
She never too much talked about what she did. If you asked her, she would tell you. I remember talking to her one time, and we had finished dinner, and so she said, my doctor said I should stop smoking cigarettes, so now I smoke a pipe.
Their legacies live on in the work done by journalists of color today.
I have great love and feeling for how she inspired us as the next generation.
She knocked the door down. I marvel at all that she did and all that she was and all that she fought for.
Wow.
Bravo, ladies, bravo. I have to say, I'm embarrassed to say I'd never heard of either one of them.
I did not, and first black female on-air commentator at this network.
At this network, yes.
Yeah.
So clearly they have paved the way. Vlad, you said you had heard of them.
I had, and you know what I always think about when I see a piece like this is we often talk about, you know, you need to see it so you can be it.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if you don't see it and yet you still are able to become it? I just being the first, as her daughter just said, or her granddaughter, knocking the doors down. It's hard to stand on somebody's shoulders when there are no shoulders to stand on. We're the ones standing on her shoulders.
Exactly right, and I didn't even know that. What I like is that her relatives are still here to be able to tell us all about them and what they've done
also
and how they did it.
It's also amazing how quaint her question was to Eisenhower and how
irritated he got.
Well, it was a little bit, but compared to today, though, it seems like, and that was a headline in the newspaper, that exchange. Right. It seems very polite by today's standards. It's a great piece. All right, coming up, a show that